Sunday morning on a housing estate at Sandyacre on the outskirts of Derby. 300 families live here. Perhaps 200 of them depend on Rolls Royce for their livelihood. The husbands work for Royces as designers, draftsmen, technicians, or for smaller firms who look to Rolls Royce for the bulk of their business. When Geraldine and John Stone moved into number 29, it cost them £3,300 on a 95% mortgage. For a week now, the Stones have been trying to assess the full impact of the Rolls-Royce crash.
I don't think we'll have very much chance of selling the house, because houses, we know, estate agents are already ringing up people and saying you'll have to drop the price of your house already.
It's estimated that there may well be 20,000 redundancies. Do you think it's going to happen to you?
I should say there's a very good chance it will happen to me, yeah, because I've only been employed at Rolls-Royce for 5 years, and the company policy was that it would be last in, first out, and so almost certainly, I should say the majority of the people on this estate will be made redundant.
What was your reaction when you heard the news?
Well, it's just unbelievable. We all knew that there was going to be some cutbacks, but we just couldn't believe that a firm the size of Rolls-Royce would go into the hands of the receiver. And so we just stunned.
How did you tell your wife?
I just said that Rolls-Royce had apparently folded up altogether, and that the official receiver had been appointed, and then it looked as if most of the people we know, our friends and myself included, would be made redundant in a very short time.
Actually, at the time I was in labour, having the babies, and I found out afterwards that my husband wasn't going to tell me, in actual fact, when he realised that I was in labour, but we sort of chatted about, you know, what's going on in the world and how's things at home, and he just started to tell me, and then to take my mind off what I was doing, to take his mind off what he was doing, we sort of talked, you know.
When were the babies born?
They were born Thursday evening. 7:10 one was born, and 8 o'clock the next one was born.
And how are they now?
They're fine, thank you. Fine. We've got one at home. We left one in hospital because she's a little bit small.
Since you've been home, what's been the reaction of the other wives here on this estate?
Well, I haven't seen many of them, obviously. You know, I've only been home a couple of days, sort of thing. Well, yesterday. So I haven't seen many of them. But funnily enough, there was one in the hospital. We got chatting, you know, and talking about men landing on the moon and having twins and husbands being out of work. And she said, oh, your husband works at Rolls-Royce as well. So I said, yes, she said, so does mine. But we all seem to think the same way, I think. We're just hoping against hope that it won't happen. And just, you know, going to believe in the government and that they're going to do something and keep it going, because, well, there's just too many people involved.
What's going to happen, Mr. Stone, to Derby if you and people like you, thousands of you, lose your jobs?
Well, Derby will be a depressed area. There's no jobs in Derby at the present time. A few jobs that were going were at Rolls-Royce anyway, and the area around, lots of people travel 8, 10, 20 miles to work to Rolls-Royce. So the male population will be a depressed area. It really will be a depressed area.
Do you think that the 211 should be saved?
The 211's got to be saved. It's an engine that was flown. I mean, this is what shocked everybody. The people at Rolls-Royce know that the engine's a good engine. It was delivered on time. It flew on time. We've been told that it's reached its performance in the last few days, and you know, this is what shocked us, that we know the engine's such a good engine, and that, you know, the teamwork that's gone into it is just unbelievable. It seems criminal that we're just going to throw all this teamwork out the window when we know that the engine's a good engine.
I think they're bewildered. They're hopeful that possibly something will still be done to save the RB211. Derby, I think, possibly more so than any of the other factories, is really totally committed to the RB211. And it's going to be a complete disaster for this town and for all the workers if it isn't salvaged. I don't think anything else can be put in its place to help to salvage Derby.
If the RB211 is cancelled, at an estimate, how many people do you think are going to lose their jobs in Derby?
Well, if the RB211 is cancelled and we get nothing to replace it, I would envisage over 50% of our workforce at least.
How many would that be?
I would think at least 12 to 15,000 could ultimately be unemployed.
How do you feel about this?
I feel shocked. We're hopeful that something can be done. As I say, we've not quite given up hope that the RB211 may be salvaged. I think when one considers the amount of cash that's been put in to re-equip the factory, and this has had to be done virtually from top to bottom, to think of all this capital now going to waste, it's just not comprehensible. The new engine, as we see it, was the start of a new chain of engines. And having got over the initial costs, one would have thought the future development of further engines would have been much cheaper. It seems there's been a fantastic investment of cash now that can't afford to be wasted.
How do you think, then, that the affair's been handled?
Well, obviously there's been a situation which has developed far more rapidly than we thought. We have known of financial problems, but it appears to me that even some of the top people in the company can't have frankly seen how deeply in trouble we were. I've been reading quite a lot of the papers today, and it does appear that this crisis has developed very rapidly. People often say, who do you blame? How can one really apportion blame in a situation like this?
What do you mean?
Well, it's very difficult to be able to say one man or two men, or even a group of people, are solely responsible. Possibly we've all failed. One thing I always remember about Sir David Huddy coming back to this country with the order, saying was, we've got the order, we've now got to produce it on time at the right price. And apparently, for many reasons, we failed to produce it at the right price and at the right time.
Mr. Lovesley rose to be a director of the company. Today he's retired, but he's still a consultant on the RB211. Did you look to the RB211 to ensure the future of Rolls-Royce?
I did. I thought it'd be another engine like the Conway was to us and stand up to competition with the rest of the big engines in the world.
But it's no good having recriminations, because what we've got to do...
Derby has a workforce of more than 100,000 people. At a mass union meeting, they heard one of their MPs, Philip Whitehead, estimate that perhaps half of them would lose their jobs if the RB211 were cancelled.
This has been an extremely bad week for Derby. Let there be no doubt about that. When phrases like potential disaster are used in the House of Commons, as they have been by people on both sides, no one, I think, any longer can be in any doubt at all as to the magnitude of the crisis. I never thought I would be coming up here to Derby today to have to tell you that in the House of Commons yesterday, the Minister of Aviation, deliberately in my view, tried to write down and write off this project here in Derby, to belittle it, to say that its competitive engines were better, that there were no sales prospects for it, that the future of Rolls did not depend upon it. I think the future of Rolls does depend on it, and the future of this town depends upon it. And the battle to save this engine and save this project is not yet over. Indeed, I think it's only just beginning. What the government has forced this company to do, and what the government has forced this country to do, is to do what the shoddiest small commercial firm does. And that is to declare itself bankrupt in order to cheat its largest creditor.
But quite apart from their debt to Lockheed's, Rolls-Royce owes millions of pounds to British firms. 200 of them are in the Midlands. Are they going to get their money?
Morning. I'm from Errington Engineering, the gentleman from Precise Talk. We'd like to present these accounts to Rolls-Royce.
Well, the only man you can present them to is me, I'm afraid.
Thank you.
The directors of two small engineering companies call personally at the accounts office to try to present bills totalling thousands of pounds. They have to leave them with the commissionaire. Excuse me, Mr. Lawson. Do you think you've any hope of payment?
Frankly, no.
Can I ask you whether you think that, in fact, you have any hope of payment on behalf of your firm?
I don't think we have any at all. No hope.
What's the extent of the debt?
Well, my particular firm is about £10,000. This is the Derby firm and associates as well.
And if you don't get this, money, what effect is this going to have on your firm?
I wouldn't like to comment at the moment on that.
But how much of your business in this particular firm is involved with Rolls Royce?
Approximately 80%.
So things can't look too good.
Not too good at all, I'm afraid, at this moment.
In a Derby back street 2 years ago, 3 men set up a company to make precision tools. In the first year, Errington Engineering achieved a turnover of £15,000. Last year, it rose to £48,000. This year, it would have been £72,000, but today, the firm faces bankruptcy. It's a small firm. It employs only 32 people. But for the past year, 4/5 of its business has been with Rolls Royce. And as the giant falls, Errington Engineering struggles desperately to prevent itself being dragged down too. The company set itself what it described as Rolls Royce standards of engineering efficiency. Its general manager had worked for Royces for 30 years, and he knew what Rolls Royce would want. A year ago, Errington Engineering won a contract to make parts for the RB211. Since then, out of thousands of components, only one has been rejected. Now, they lie stacked in a corner of the machine shop. Mr. Lawson, how much of the work you do in this factory has been concerned with Rolls-Royce and the RB211?
About 80%.
And what's going to happen to all this material now?
Well, we've had no instructions from Rolls-Royce as yet to either to stop or carry on. Until we get some instructions, we shall just keep it in cotton wool until such a time as we, get something definite to work on.
But it may be a complete waste.
It may be a complete waste. If the RB211 goes under, then it will be a complete waste, because it cannot be used for anything else.
Now, how much is all this here worth?
About £4,500 to £5,000.
And what is the total amount of money which Rolls-Royce owes you?
About £11,500.
What are you going to do if you don't get this money?
Well, at the moment we are trying, of course, to locate other areas of work. We're programming to other firms to try and get work from them. If we don't get it, and we don't get any help from the banks, I'm afraid we shall have to cease work.
Mr. Freeman, what do you stand to lose if you do go under?
Well, I should say completely everything that we've worked for over the last few years. In actual cash value, I should say somewhere in the region of about 20 to 25,000.
And what does that mean, that you'll have to...
Well, it means that you have nowhere to live to start off with, because you use that security to build a company up anyhow. But with all this gone, it means no car, no home. Well, virtually everything goes. Because after all, only 6 months ago, Rolls-Royce was regarded as safe as the Bank of England. And all the credibility has gone overnight to people who have invested their life savings, people which have made a tremendous effort to exports, and all this is just disregarded now.
What did the name Rolls-Royce mean to you up to a week ago?
Well, Rolls-Royce means to me, being a patriot, that this is Britain.
And what does the name Rolls-Royce mean to you today?
It means that Britain is almost bankrupt.
What's your reaction to what's happened to you and this firm in the last 5 days?
Well, I was floored at first, obviously. I thought the bottom had dropped completely out of my world. And by my world, I mean this business. It is my world. And I thought, good heavens, I've more or less handpicked all these chaps here who are, as I say, the finest craftsmen, some of the finest craftsmen in the Midlands, and I feel responsible. And I thought, good heavens, what have I done, I've persuaded people to come and join me, and in 2 years it all seems as if it's to no avail. And this is the hurt, actually. It's not the fact that I'm going to lose a job, that doesn't worry me one little bit. It's the fact that I've persuaded these chaps to come here, and I feel they are my responsibility. And this is the sad thing. And after all, they're the backbone of this country. First-class skilled men like this, they just can't be thrown on the scrap heap. And I think it's a crying shame. And I think someone, the government, or I don't care who it is, should do something about it. I'm not asking for charity. We don't want charity. We just want the opportunity to produce and to prove to the country that we are still the finest craftsmen in the world.
In a park in Derby, Sir Henry Royce is remembered for his services to British engineering. But the perfection he sought and handed down to another generation of Rolls-Royce men wasn't sufficient to ensure survival amid the intense competition of the aerospace industry. 3 years ago, the shares of the company he founded stood at 55 shillings. Today, they were on offer on the stock exchange at 3.75. A great company has failed. 10,000, 20,000, perhaps 50,000 jobs are at risk. What else can the people of Derby do tonight except wait and hope?
These must be very sad days for you.
Very sad indeed. I just still haven't resolved my own attitudes to the news. I still feel a sense of shock in some ways. We're living in a situation of being in a vacuum. The receiver's now come and taken over, but until we can start to resume normal relationships, normal in the sense of knowing that we have supervisors, that we have a live management, that we're still in business, I think this sense of shock is going to remain.
Are you hopeful?
I'm desperately hopeful.